Hello and welcome to this She's Sacred Masterclass. I'm Katherine Pfeiffer, and today we are talking about the magnetic and high frequency CEO. How women can use feminine energetics in their lives and their leadership. And I am super excited that you're here. Welcome, welcome. So I am your guide in feminine energetics in leadership in life and money and relationships. And I am really excited to share with you today some of the things that I have learned along the way about how to be a magnetic and high frequency CEO. So whether you call yourself a CEO or you are a leader in your work or you are just starting out with your mission or you just know you're here to do big things, this applies to you. So I like to use the word CEO because I like the frequency of the acronym, but and really what the meaning of CEO is. But feel free to use whatever you like. If you're a doctor, a lawyer, you work for a company and you are in a leadership position, or you're hoping to be in a leadership position, this masterclass is going to serve you. So before we begin, I always like to do a little grounding work to make sure that we are all in the same frequency of the information that I'm going to share. So if you are not driving or you are not in a place where you can't close your eyes, don't. But if you're able just to sit for just a minute to close your eyes, I would love for you to. If you don't, just feel free to do the breathing work with us. It'll work. We're just all bringing in our own energy and our own frequency to this one currently that I am sharing with you on this masterclass recording. So we're all going to just close our eyes and take in a deep breath and release. And another deep breath and release. I'd like for you to breathe in. It's in the air all the way down to your root chakra. And then let it come up slowly through all of your chakras to your throat and out your mouth. And again, emphasizing your root and your sacral. Feeling grounded, feeling connected. Let your shoulders drop if that feels aligned. One more deep breath. And release. Feel free to open your eyes whenever you feel comfortable to do so. Welcome, welcome. I'm super excited that you're here. So, the magnetic and high frequency CEO. So we're going to be really talking about the contrast of what it's not to be a magnetic and high frequency CEO and what it is to be one. And I have some words that might feel aligned or not in terms of labels. I looked up what some of the movies had called like terrible female bosses. One of them was like the Dragon Lady. There's always the boss bitch. There was like the witch, which doesn't align with me because I don't really subscribe to like a witch being a horrible, mean, terrible person. And I actually don't think that about any of these symbols or these kind of labels that we're putting on women in leadership. However, when we start talking about it, you're going to know either from the movies or from your own life, or perhaps you will see from within yourself some of these dynamics that haven't really been fully aligned or have fully worked. So I would like to invite you to come at this masterclass with a perspective of curiosity. Instead of feeling called out or feeling like, oh, Oh, I've done that. Oh, man. Ugh. And then shutting off or shutting me off because I've triggered something within you. I'd really like to invite you to just look at this information from a bird's eye perspective and also from perhaps your own life perspective. Like, if you are to think about your own life, which I actually would like for you to do, I'd like for you to look at it like you are an observer of the past, that you're just watching a movie instead of attaching shame or attaching bad feelings around it or being like, well, that did not go well. I'm really glad that's over with, and I never wanted to think about that ever again. So I'd like to invite you to get grounded in that because, excuse me, whether or not my throat chakra is like on fire, because it's like, oh, you're going to say things that might stir people up, and this is big. So let me take a deep breath. I'm going to pause you for just a second and take some water. Hold on one second. So I'd like to invite you to really just be curious about all of this, and also know that give yourself or anyone else that you have experienced this with a lot of empathy and a lot of grace and a lot of love, because often they and we didn't know better. We didn't know how to operate. We didn't know how to be different. We had been taught other ways to be, and now we are realizing that they did not work. And I just like to invite you to be in the energy of that. So one of the things that often women do to block their success and to block their growth and their mission and their leadership, often they'll find ways to stunt themselves because the constructs of success already feel like it's too hard and it's too heavy. I've seen this time and time again where women will meet their plateau, they'll meet their level of success, and they won't be able to go over it. They won't be able to take it further because it's already hard. They're already exhausted. Perhaps they're already sick. It's too much. The maintenance of it is too hard, and they burn out. They lose passion for it. They lose interest in it. They lose the desire to be in it. And then they let it go. And perhaps for good reason, perhaps for good, like, I'm ready to do something different, or I'm ready to explore something different. And if they are working in a paradigm that is really entrenched in masculine energetics, it can be really hard to say, well, I either need to buck up or I just can't do this. And I'm going to invite you, in whatever arena that you run your mission, to really start to approach yourself and approach the way that you do leadership differently, with the hopes that other people will pile on, or other people will attune to that energy or be curious about it. Feel free to share this masterclass with people. If they're like, I don't understand where you're coming from, feel free to be like, well, watch this lady and see what she has to say. My mission and my passion is in feminine energetics and in the health of women running big missions and doing big things, while also being madly in love with their lives, being madly in love with their partners, being a fabulous mom and showing up in the responsibility of being a mother, if they are, in a really connected way, taking care of their bodies, taking care of their souls, and really fueling their creativity. And I don't think that it's impossible to have all those things. I think that it's fully possible, and I think it's fully in alignment. And I think that the only thing that we have to do is look at it and do it differently. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do today. We sometimes get in our own way of our growth and our mission and what we want to achieve and what we want to do, because we subscribe to a paradigm of living and leading that is unaligned to us. I'm not going to say that it's bad that although there are toxic leaders out there, there is toxic leadership out there. What I am going to say is that the unalignment becomes very apparent to us as we go deeper and deeper into it. And it doesn't matter how fabulous your business or your mission or the way that you run things is. It doesn't matter if the company that you work for is actually really aligned and connected and puts this as a forefront. We all have ways of growth, and we all can be continually growing in who we are as leaders. So I'm going to really paint pictures for you today around what it's like to be an unaligned, unmagnetic, repelling leader, and what it looks like to be a magnetic and high frequency CEO. So we know from movies and from our own personal experiences who she is, who the boss bitch, dragon lady, high-powered female leader who is not connected into any of her feminine energetics. We know what she looks like. We know what she feels like. We likely have had experiences with her personally. And they're really uncomfortable experiences, and we'd like to forget about them. But I would like to invite you to conjure your image or your experience of this woman that you have had in your life. And if you can't conjure someone that you've not had that experience, just think about The Proposal and Sandra Bullock's character. I can't remember her name right now, although I love that movie. Or think about The Devil Wears Prada and Miranda Priestley. Think about women like that who are in these high-powered leadership positions and doing really big things, but are also very unaligned in their feminine energetics. And it shows. It showed in both of those examples pretty predominantly. So I'm going to walk you through a list of things about the characteristics of this kind of woman in her leadership. She's often angry. She's often fueled by anger. She's walking around with this frequency of anger. She's often detached from her sacral power. She doesn't actually know how to use it. She's resource power. She's ignited it in ways that have worked for her, but her sacral power is turned off. She's not connected. She's below her rib cage. She's just not connected. She's unhappy but passionate about her mission. If you'd asked her, are you happy? She'd be like, no, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all. But she's motivated by what she's here to do and who she's here to be. She's often motivated by ego, by accolades, and by money or power. She's often motivated by that. I want to be the boss because I'll be in power. I want to be the boss so I can say that I'm the boss. I want to be the boss because I'll make a ton of money. And that motivation is what keeps her entrenched in it. She's like, I'm the boss. I'm the leader. I get to do things. I get to tell you what to do. She intentionally or unintentionally steps on others to succeed. So she's not worried about really stepping on someone else to get to have her highest good or have what she wants in the forefront. She's not afraid of that. She's not like a kumbaya, let's camaraderie kind of person. She's not to be trusted. She's really, and you feel that within yourself. You're like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. But you hold the power of my work and you hold the power of my growth. And so I have to sit here and I have to play your game. There is a lot of game playing with this kind of leader. She believes there's only room at the top for one or very few. She does not believe that there's room at the top for more, and that she wants to be at the top because of that ego. She does a lot of do as I say kind of stuff. Like, there's a big task to be done, and she's sitting in her office, but she's got you doing all the legwork and all the sweaty work, and she's just like, she's got, other things that she's worried about or wants to focus on, which is maybe chit-chatting with her girlfriends. She's like not worried about it. She leads through fear, control, and emotional distance. She really utilizes that fear. She really utilizes that emotional distance in order to get what she wants. Women want emotional connectivity from the people that they're showing up for and the people that are leading them. She unconsciously believes other women are her competition. This is ingrained in her psyche, in her DNA. It's ingrained in all of our DNA. And she sometimes acts like a wolf dressed up in sisterhood vibes and steps on other women to get ahead. I love that, like a wolf dressed up in sisterhood vibes. Like, she'll be like, I'm here for the solidarity of women, but she's really not. And you can tell, you feel it. You're like, you're not here for me. You're not here for the sisterhood. You're here to win. You're here to have me be a part of your mission and have me be a part of your success, but you don't really care about me, and you don't really care about my success, and you don't really care about my values. She wears masculine clothes often. She's often really entrenched in her masculinity and speaks in a masculine fashion. She's not using words like feminine energetics by all means. She's not really concerned about the creativity or about the flow or about mystery. She's more concerned about bottom lines and dollars and success. She chooses her bitch era over her resource leader era. She's choosing this. She chooses this every day, and it fuels her in some ways. In some ways, it does not fuel her. In very, very important ways, it does not fuel her. She works herself to the bone and then gets sick. So that's where it doesn't fuel her. She finds herself and her body faltering her, because even though she might work out, even though she might make really healthy choices, even though she might be in very good shape, she's also, the energetic incongruency within her is not in alignment to her. And so she gets sick and she feels depleted and exhausted and burnt out. She's often lonely. She's often very, very lonely. It's lonely at the top. That's what they say, right? Well, I don't believe that. Nor do I want to run a business that ever feels super lonely at the top. So next, she believes money is power. Status is power. Credentials are power. She really believes in these things as power. And she believes femininity is weak and that sensuality is dirty. She uses her sensuality, particularly with men, because that's power. But with women, she feels like it's dirty. And femininity is weak, and her connection in with her feminine side and her femininity is not something that she would expand on, really, because that's not how you win the game. And we are all here to win the game. And so perhaps you've had experiences with this kind of leader, and perhaps you see some of this in yourself as a leader. And I'd like to invite you to try some different things on. And I'd also like to invite you to look at this with a lens of curiosity around, these things don't really work. These things don't work for me. I found when I was working as a leader, I was exhausted. I was tired. I got really sick. I found myself really struggling with my Crohn's disease symptoms. The more stress that I had, the more sick I became. And I also found that I didn't know how to address things with women. I didn't know how to talk fairly and bluntly about things, because I was worried about how the cosm of where I worked and the dynamics of where I worked, what the gossip would look like, or what the what people would say about me as a leader. And I wanted to be kind, and I wanted to be well liked, and that got in my way. I really believe that you can harness a lot of feminine energetics in your leadership in order to do a better job. And I believe men can do this too. I think men can really connect in with their feminine energetics in really powerful ways and do super cool things that maybe they weren't able to do otherwise. But I really feel like when it becomes women, we almost like, sometimes men are more in touch with their feminine energetics than women are. I have a great story, and it doesn't really relate to leadership at all. But when I worked as a therapist, I worked predominantly as a mental health clinician, where I would be doing assessments and treatment plans and talk therapy. But my background was in art therapy, and so I had this skill that I brought to the table, and I once a week worked with people with addiction issues and did an art therapy group. And it was a couple hours long, and it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. But what I found, and this is like day treatment addiction therapy, so it was like not necessarily inpatient. So they had to come to do the treatment at this place, but then they went home to sleep. It wasn't where these people didn't sleep there. The other clients I worked with did sleep there. However, when I went to do this group, what I would find with art was that women were a lot more superficial with their art and how they explained their art because they had learned how to be. Men, however, were very connected into their emotions around art, that they really had never created the defenses that women have when they create art and when they connect in with their emotions with art. And it was really cool to see. Women, however, had become so closed off to that it was really harder to tap into them and to really garner insight from their artistic work. Whereas, I would start talking to a man, and because he didn't have those defenses, he'd be crying, or he'd be like, oh, this has been really like life-changing for me. Whereas a woman would be like, yeah, I drew a picture, And what I think is really interesting about this in terms of feminine energetics and leadership as opposed for men or as opposed to women, if we're talking about genders, is that often men are more connected in with their feminine energetics than women are, because women have really learned how to shut that off. They have learned how to say no to their feminine energetics, and also that it's bad. It's scary to use. It's not safe to be in feminine energetics, which is not true. It's not true. So, by opposite, the magnetic and high frequency leader, she knows herself. She's in tune with her mind, body, and soul. She does work to be in tune with her mind, body, and soul. And that's not like something that she does perfectly, but she knows that her body holds her frequency. She deeply knows this. And so in order for her body to hold her frequency and for her body to elevate her frequency, she does her best to keep it vibrationally clean. She has done deep inner work when it comes to relationships, specifically with women. She's learned how to heal those sisterhood wounds, which is hard to do and scary. And if you're curious on how to do that with me, I have a program coming out soon about it. But she's learned how to be in relationship with women when it's been really hard. And that's not to say that she all of a sudden finds herself getting railroaded by other women, or that she just puts up with toxic feminine energetics. She doesn't do that. She's able to show up and be a leader while also understanding feminine energetics and she's learned how to work around how women have been raised and why they behave the way that they do, particularly when it comes to competition. I've done a lot of work around this, so I know. And I can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be quite the ride. So she also knows that when she feels grounded, rested, and tapped on, that her creative flow is turned all the way on. It can't be otherwise. You can't make yourself be creative. I know, I'm an artist. I have a blank canvas that has been sitting there for 2 years because I can't make myself be creative. And I think I'll be painting it soon because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the creativity coming. But I couldn't force myself to do that painting before I was ready to. So she looks for ways to elevate others, especially those who can benefit from her as a resource. So she looks to raise people up. She knows that she's not in competition with other women in terms of like what she's doing, what she's here to do. Her job is not in jeopardy because there's another woman out there that's doing a good job. And in fact, she really wants to raise women up and raise women up to do amazing things. And she also trusts in like a deeper and higher frequency where she knows if she's not meant to be in this job position, that something better is coming for her. She's not worried about like, oh, I might lose my job because this other woman is better than me. She's actually like, oh, I get that if this woman comes in to replace me, I'm only going to do better things. And really is in tune with the universe for that information. She also creates incredibly strong boundaries, standards, and policies. Oh, I love talking about these things, and she holds them. Boundaries, standards, and policies. I love talking about these. I talk about these in many of my programs. And I'm not going to really explain them here, but when you hear the frequency of the word boundaries and you hear the frequency of the word, what are your standards and what are your policies? I really want you to start to think about what that means for you and how you can uphold these boundaries, these standards, and these policies for yourself so that they are a resource to you. She isn't weak, but she doesn't allow people to walk all over her. She's not weak. She's not a doormat. But she's also kind. She's generous. She's loving. She's in her resourced, connected, I've got you. And I want to lead this mission with you. She invests in resources that elevate her and her mission. She knows that it's her. It's her that's here to do the big thing. And so she invests in things that help her grow and help her shift and help her change. And that could be so many different things. It could be a therapist to work on some trauma that happened earlier in her life or recently in her life, or investing in a coach to work on body love, or investing in a mentor to work on energetics with, feminine leaders. It's all of that, like me. Little plug for my work. But what I'm saying is she really thinks about how to invest and how to elevate herself, whatever that means, whatever it is for her. She uses money as a resource, not as a power play. Her money is her resource. And she might make a lot of money by doing what she's doing, but she's using it as a resource. It's not to be like, I'm better than you, or I'm more powerful than you. She does her money work so that she's not held back by the money, that the money isn't keeping her from expanding in ways that she wants to expand. So when you're thinking about that, the magnetic and the high frequency CEO, I'd like for you to really think about this idea of magnetism. People are pulled into what she's doing and how she's running her business and her mission, and they want to be a part of it. How amazing is it when we are able to hire people to help us run our missions, or to have people come into our work that are excited to learn from us because we have big things to say. It's really, really cool. And when we are able to be a magnetic and have that high frequency, that high vibrational transmission, and call people into what we're doing, it really is quite magical. There are women out there in businesses making lots and lots of money who aren't connected in with this. And like I said, it's not a shame thing. It's this is how we were raised, and we're just trying to figure it out. We're just trying to figure out how to do this in a way that keeps us resourced, that keeps us happy, that keeps us in relationships that we feel really amazing about, where we don't have to choose between the relationship and our work, or the kids and our work, or the whatever in our work. I am madly in love with the idea that we can show up feeling so good about what we're here to do and how we're here to shift the earth in whatever way we are, and that we can do it in these really connected, well-resourced, happy ways. And that's my mission. My mission is to support women. Specifically, I'm open to supporting men too. The mission is for everyone, because I'm here to change the paradigm of how we do this. But I want to see women in leadership positions, and I want to see them thrive, and I want to see them expand. And the only way that they're going to be able to do that is if they do it differently than how they were raised, how they were taught, how like the men showed them how to do it, or how the women showed them how to do it. I have been in so many work situations and so many interactions with other people that just have felt really icky, that have felt really disconnected. And often we chalk it up to, well, that's just the way that it is. Well, I have decided that that's not how it's going to be anymore, and it doesn't have to be. I've decided that we're not, just because it's status quo, we're not here to subscribe to that. We're here to do it differently. We're here to do it more powerfully. I don't want to hear on the internet from famous people that run big, huge companies that by the end of the year, they are so exhausted. They're so tired. They just crave their bed. I want to see sustainability in their work, in their mission, in their lives, so that whether it's the beginning of the year and they've gone on this gorgeous vacation and they've had all of this rest and they're here to show up for their work or not, that there's this feeling of sustainability in their work and in their mission and in what they are here to do. You can take phone calls in the bathroom. Kim Kardashian was talking about this, about running her business and MASTERCLASS, which I found really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. But she was talking about taking phone calls in the bathroom and being on her phone all the time, and I had this feeling of like, is that necessary? I think she probably enjoys that. Like, she likes to be that busy and is fueled by that. And it's not up to me or to you to decide if that's good or bad for her, because it might be amazing for her. For me, I'm not taking phone calls in the shower. I'm not taking phone calls on the weekends, and I have decided that for me. That's part of my boundaries, policies, and standards. But we can look at that and we can say, oh, she's just so busy and she's so tired. I mean, she's got to be so tired and she's like constantly working. Or we could say, maybe she chooses that, in the paradigm of her work. So it doesn't have to be like projecting our own feelings or our own biases on what it looks like to do the things that we are here to do. However, we can try that on like I did, and I was like, no, I'm not taking phone calls in the shower. I like my shower time. I like being quiet. That's where my ideas come from. I'm not going to get rid of that. But it's cool that she does. It's cool. And she was not complaining about being tired or exhausted. And If she was, I'd be like, well, let's set some boundaries around this so that you actually feel resourced when you are showing up for these conversations. If she had come to me and said, Catherine, I'd love your support on feminine energetics around showing up in my work where I feel resourced and connected and creative and amazing, I would be like, this is some things that I would think about in terms of, what you could look at. And one of them would be taking phone calls in the shower. So that's just an example. And she spoke about it publicly, so I can share with you publicly about what I think about it. So I hope that you loved this. I hope that this supported you in some powerful ways. It really is just a masterclass on naming who we want to be and how we want to ignite our leadership. And we could do how-tos on all of the different ways that you can be a magnetic and high-frequency CEO and get into like the fine details of that. And I would be happy to do that with you. I'd like to do it in a way that feels just resource to you. So I have loved this. Thank you so much for being here. And if you'd like to dive deeper into my work, I have so many things coming out soon. I've got a program on feminine energetics and wealth. I have a program coming out on sisterhood and feminine energetics and female relationships with each other. I also have 2 programs that are self-study around energetic frequency. One is called Energy Queen. One is around relationships. I have a number of private containers that you can look into. And I also have a self-study program on the sacred feminine. It's called the Sacred Femme Experience, around the sacred feminine and utilizing the sacred feminine in your life and your work. You can read about all of those at www.catherinepfeiffer.com and just click the Atelier button, which is my shop page, and it'll guide you through all of those different things. Thank you so much for being here. I am sending my love, and I can't wait to do the next one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.